You look at Democrats' approval rating in this country, when you look at Republicans' approval rating in this country, you see that Americans are just fed up with it all. Like, Democrats suck. We know that already, though. You know what I mean? So it's like, I knew that Trump would probably get in office again and fumble, but I also knew that Democrats wouldn't have the team put together properly to recover the ball. So what you're seeing right now from just American people is just a backlash to everything. People want something different.
Well, when I was on your show back in, I think it was October of last year, you told me that you would have been happy to have voted for Kamala Harris as the nominee for the Democrat Party. I want to ask you, do you still feel that way? Do you think she was the best representative and the best person for the Democrats in their chance to have a president this term?
Yes, I would have voted for, I did vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. But absolutely. Because, if you look right now, she's looking pretty good because a lot of the things that she said, President Trump would do, he actually did. And, I did a segment on The Daily Show, after he became president. And I was like, prove people wrong. Everything that everybody is saying about you, everything that they say you're going to do, all you got to do is simply not do. But he did it anyway.
Well, let me ask you.
Because he was elected to do it. So prove people wrong. You mean prove the people that no matter what you do, they're going to hate you. They're going to find something negative in it. Donald Trump would have been silly to campaign on something that not only got him the Electoral College, but also got him the popular vote and then not do it. Because even if he didn't do the things that the Democrats or Kamala Harris was critiquing or criticizing, even if he didn't do them, they still wouldn't give him his flowers. So it's a pointless, unwinnable situation. But what he has done, and she's absolutely right, he said he was going to do certain things, and he's doing them. So the people that voted for him are the people that he needs to initially satisfy. He should satisfy the entire country, or as much of it as you can, because it's impossible to make everybody happy. But he certainly has to satisfy the promises that he made to the people that voted for him, because there are a lot of people that voted for him that don't usually vote Republican. And in all fairness, there are probably a lot of people that didn't vote for him. They voted against Kamala because I think they felt that that would have been an absolute train wreck. I couldn't imagine her, understanding some of the situations that are being dealt with by the Trump administration, and B, sitting across the table from certain people and having these hardcore conversations that Donald Trump is able to do because he's been a businessman. He's worked in property in New York, probably one of the hardest markets to work in anything in. So he has a fortitude and a resilience that she's not going to have as someone that's been a career politician. And you can take that as a positive or a negative that someone's been a career politician. But I would say that I think there were a lot of people that were worried about Kamala Harris becoming president, keeping in mind she was a very unpopular vice president. Nobody, even on the Democratic Party, or not enough people wanted her to be president, which is why she ended up in the role of vice president. And I know that from what's been written, I don't know, but from what's been written, Biden didn't want her. And definitely Dr. Joe Biden definitely didn't want her. So it was more of a political move rather than we feel that she is the best person for the role. So if she wasn't even the best person for the vice presidential role, she certainly wasn't the best person to be president. And it would indicate that the insiders felt that as well, because when Biden started to have his challenges, his cognitive challenges that everyone could see, if they felt that she was this amazing political mind and someone that the country would have embraced, there are things in the Constitution to ensure that you protect that president, because at the end of the day, it's a duty of care. He's the most powerful man on the planet. And if he's struggling, his health and his well-being should be a priority. And if we had a great vice president, it should have been a no-brainer. So, the facts and what actually happened is really telling.
Not like he was listening to me. I'm just simply saying.
He listens to everyone. He takes input from all around. So Kamala Harris, listen to this. She now says that she is not going to seek becoming governor of California. Here's her statement. She says, "For now, my leadership and public service will not be in elected office. I look forward to getting back out and listening to the American people, helping elect Democrats across the nation who will fight fearlessly and sharing more details in the months ahead about my own plan." Charlemagne, if you look at what Democrat primary voters think about some of the candidates, look at where Kamala Harris falls. She's number 2, right here behind Pete Buttigieg. Do you think she should run for president again?
I mean, she can do whatever she wants. I don't personally know if I would run for president if I was her. And if she does, she has to get a real connection with the people. I think that's something that she's always been missing. If you look at from 2020 to now, whenever you see her, it always seems like it's transactional, right? Like she ran for president, so she was trying to get, people's attention for that. Then she became vice president. Then she became the actual nominee. People have never seen the VP just out having a conversation, doing what she said she.
And you were comfortable with that, Charlemagne. You were happy to vote for her, even though this critique of her not being able to connect with people. Like, this is where the hypocrisy, and the more he talks, the more you realize that there's a position, and that position, the default position, is anti-Republican, anti-Trump. And in saying that you have a candidate that didn't connect with people, and she would need to actually kind of find an identity and be real, be authentic, that's critique enough to say, well, she wasn't the best candidate.
Wants to do right there, which is just being of service to the people in that way. And I think she just needs to establish a real connection with the people. I think any of those candidates that are attempting to run need to establish a real connection with the people. And I think that you do it by doing things like this. Like, you have to show up to the Fox Newses of the world. You have to show up to the Joe Rogans of the world. Hell, I think that in 2028, really now, until 2028, they should have their own platforms. They should be launching their own podcasts.
Should she have done Joe Rogan?
She definitely should have done Joe Rogan. I told her that personally. But more importantly, I think now they should be launching their own podcast. Mm-hmm. I got to give people like Gavin Newsom props. I got to give people like Nikki Haley props, even though I don't like Gavin Newsom's podcast. But the fact he has established his own platform, and the fact people like Nikki Haley have established their own platform, that is how you're going to connect with people moving forward.
Well, I was going to ask you, what advice would you overall give Democrats? Sounds like for potential presidential nominees, you'd say they need to connect more with people. What overall advice would you give the party?
You got to throw the old regime completely under the bus. Like, whatever, whoever is going to be leading the party moving forward, whoever says that they're going to be the face of the party moving forward, you got to be willing to throw that old regime we just saw under the bus. I read Jake Tapper's The Original Sin, right? So when a lie of that magnitude is told, and not just a lie that, we all.
The thing is, in all fairness, like, Charlemagne, you endorsed, you propagated, you pushed, you opposed anyone that was saying the obvious. We didn't need a book to let us know that there were some challenges with the president. We didn't need a book, and you shouldn't have needed a book either, because you are in those circles, and I'm sure that you were hearing these rumors, or maybe you were seeing and hearing that people didn't have access. So you should have been more inquisitive. You shouldn't have been so opposed to people that were stating things that we were seeing right in front of our eyes. And I think it's great, and I think it's quite rich that, people go to Charlemagne for the political advice, and he's, on a platform, or has a platform, to get all of these different politicians on the show. I just think that quite often he has a view. The view comes across as well thought out, but if there's any challenge, if there's any pushback, if statistics or a drill down is required of him, he folds. And we've seen this with Larry Elders. We've seen this with Vivek Ramaswamy. We've seen this with some of the solid people on the conservative side that go on his show, have a well-intentioned conversation, a good faith conversation, which, again, props to Charlemagne because he has the conversation, and props to him for going on, the Fox shows, etc. Because a lot of people won't. You won't see AOC on there. You won't see Jasmine Crockett on there. You won't see those type of people. But what I will say, I think he gets booked on these shows because people view him as a conduit to the voting Black population. I think he definitely represents a segment, But that segment is in the bag for the Democrats anyway. I think the more conservative leaning or independent thinking people aren't really checking Charlemagne's views to understand what's going on the political landscape. And I even think some of the Democratic people that are now seeing that it's the same cycle every 4 years, you know, the black voting population is promised all these things that never come through, and they will just keep writing and writing and writing despite seeing things that aren't in their favor. Anyway, that's it for me. As I always say, I'm just a guy with a Wi-Fi connection and a camera. I put my view in. I try not to be mean. I'm not saying things just to be provocative. I'll challenge people's views. I'll challenge their thoughts or ideas. Try not to attack them. And as I said, like, me critiquing Charlemagne doesn't mean I'm a hater. I respect what he's accomplished, and I think he's accomplished a lot. And I think because of that, he should often have a more encouraging message to people to say, look, I made it happen through hard work, through grit, and he has, right? But I just think he's off the mark. And I would say you can't be convinced that he always votes the way that he says he does, because at the end of the day, as he said at the beginning of the video, the policies that he doesn't like actually do affect him in a positive way because he's in that tax bracket, and I'm not mad at that. Anyway, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you leave comments. This is a small channel, and I know there's a few faithful people that will watch, and there's other people that watch but don't subscribe, so I'd appreciate your subscription. I do my